Madam Chairman. Governor Raskin, first of all, I appreciate you being here today. And I appreciate the number of people who have come through my office on both sides of this issue to explain their position. It seems like it hasn't stopped for the last 2 weeks. I got to tell you, I have a concern about what we're doing here, that we are going to set a price in the marketplace by way of Congress between 7 and 12 cents. I believe that the free market should be allowed to work, and I don't think we're doing that here. And as I've talked to a lot of different merchants out there, when we talk about Congress potentially stepping in and mandating prices or profits or salaries for their companies or CEOs, they take great offense to that. But they seem to advocate for Congress stepping in and advocating for a price fixing in regard to Visa, banks, and their fees. My concern is in Wisconsin we have, and especially in my district, we have quite a few small community banks, and they've expressed great concern over what we're doing here. And when I look at the reports that have been, or the analysis that has been done, it's my understanding that you have provided surveys to 63 large banks. Is that correct?
I want to get you the exact numbers.
Or is it fair to say that you didn't really do any of these surveys with small community banks?
Well, there were the surveys that were done of issuing banks were done of the institutions that would be covered by the statute, and remember, the statute exempts institutions of $10 billion or less. So
but I think it's clear from your
$10 billion or less were not included in the survey.
Right. But I think it's clear from your testimony and from the comments of Mr. Bernanke that we're not so certain that they are going to be excluded or this law is not going to impact them. It seems quite possible that our small community banks are going to be impacted by this rule, but then you haven't included them in your survey, is that right?
They have not been included in the survey.
Right.
And as you recommend or suggest, it is certainly possible for the exemption that exists in the interchange fee portion of the law to also be carried over pursuant to congressional direction to the network routing and those restrictions.
I mean, but this could affect our small community banks, and having that potential impact, don't you think it's beneficial that we reach out to them and try to get their input by way of a survey?
Clearly, the impact on small banks, I think, needs to be understood.
So is it fair to say that it might be beneficial to have more time to talk to our community banks and say, let's take a look at what kind of impact this is going to have on you?
Well, I'm happy to share the methodology that was followed, and you can look carefully at the surveys and make a decision.
Let me ask you this. In the time that's remaining, can you get sufficient information from our community banks by way of a survey?
In the time that's remaining, I would argue
no.
It depends on what comments we've received to date, and we've got a couple more days.
All right. Now, there's a lot of folks who have suggested that if this structure of the fee is changed, that we're not going to have free checking, there's going to be more charges to consumers on the banking side. And then we'll also argue that, well, on the consumer side, prices are potentially going to go down because, our merchants are going to save, maybe 0.5 or 1% or 2% per transaction. Is that a fair assessment of how the argument's going?
There are arguments all different ways in terms of what the ultimate impact is on the consumer.
Do you think that Congress should step in and mandate that merchants, that Home Depot and Walmart and Target should be forced to reduce their prices by 1% or 1.5% if this law passes? Is that a proper role for Congress?
That's Congress's decision. It's certainly
Okay.
not the Federal Reserve's.
Okay. But it is the Federal Reserve's, obviously by way of Congress, to look at how this interchange fee affects merchants and banks and come up with a pricing structure that you guys think is appropriate.
That reflects the law that we've been given.
And is it fair to say that you've capped the top fee at 12 cents?
We have put out alternative approaches, and that 12-cent fee represents the 80th percentile in the survey that was conducted of average variable costs, and so 80% of the people of the institutions.
So have you capped it at 12 cents?
Nothing has been done yet. This is a proposal.
Do you anticipate it being capped at 12 cents?
This is a proposal, and we're taking comment.
So it could go up to 30 cents or 44 cents?
We're looking at comments as they come in.
I yield back my time.